Welcome back to Bay Area Focus. Sitting down with me now from the Eureka Fellowship Program are director Amy Charles and artist Josephine Taylor. Ladies, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about this foundation, Amy. It sounds fascinating.
Yeah, well, the Fleischer Foundation started in 1947, actually. Very savvy businessman, and through the years, it has developed through the generations. And they were a bit eclectic in their giving initially. They were part of starting KQED, the United Way. They brought the ACT Theater Company from New York to San Francisco. And through the 80s, really became focused on education and the arts. So now we do K-5 literacy program for disadvantaged children in the elementary level, and then we do the arts program, so we fund arts organizations, nonprofits, all Bay Area focused.
Right.
The Eureka Fellowship is our program where we give individual artists grants. It's a unique program. It's what we call a blind jury, where we get curators from around the country to come in, look at the artwork without any information about the artist, but solely judging the artwork. So the grantees end up being in all stages of their career, which is terrific, and they're all given sort of the same shot at winning the fellowship.
And why is that fellowship so important, to find those kinds of artists?
Well, it's actually one of the hardest things to get funded is an individual artist.
Right.
So being a smaller foundation, we really decided to focus in on really a lot of artists. It's a solitary, in their studio, non-community process. So what we're doing is creating a sort of cohort for these artists, peer group to be together, and we've seen it open doors for artists for their careers. Once they've sort of been acknowledged by this grant, they get other grants, teaching opportunities.
Sure. And one of the artists who have benefited from this fellowship recently, Josephine Taylor, we're going to take a look at some of your work. Tell us a little bit about your art.
I primarily make work on paper, so drawing, large-scale drawings, and recently I've been working with colored ink, pushing an ink through an airbrush to make drawings that don't reveal the hand in the traditional sense of ink and brush.
And we've got a painting, or we've got one of your art pieces right now. Tell us a little bit about this one in particular.
Oh, okay. This was a work from my show that ran last spring. It's a piece using colored ink on paper, and again, I pushed the ink through an airbrush using hand-cut stencils, and it's a portrait of a little girl I know. I projected her into her teenage years, so the show was focused on teenagers, the adolescent experience in the Bay Area.
And you said no hands.
Yeah.
In all of your...
Yeah, I have in the past always worked with a brush and ink to make my drawings, but now I'm using industrial grade spray gun from a mechanic studio to push the ink onto the page to create the drawings without brush strokes.
And what has this fellowship done for you personally?
I mean, really, I'm trying to be really prudent and wise about how I use the grant money, but it's an incredible boon because the studio prices are so high in the Bay Area. So it's really almost impossible for a working artist to afford a studio space, and we need the space to make work in. So I'm hoping to find a studio.
Absolutely.
For the next couple of years.
And Amy, tell us a little bit about some of the unrestricted fellowships and why that is so key for artists in the Bay Area and around the country.
Yeah, it's unique. Usually, grantees, there will be a show that they have to have or an audience that's going to be seeing the work, something that they're going to prove with their grant. And we found that, bottom line, artists need support, and they know how they need to spend the money. So we have seen artists do everything from self-invented sabbatical, where they travel and do research and get inspired, to buying cameras and supplies, to help make their work. A lot of times we see artists not have to do 4 part-time jobs to make their way. They can go down to maybe 1 part-time job and then really have that space to make their art. So it gives them that opportunity to really focus and not kind of have to piece everything together.
And this must be one of the hardest things to do for your foundation and the fellowship, is to actually select the artists and to kind of narrow it down. How do you select artists like Josephine?
Well, it starts with, I ask curators around the Bay Area from nonprofit organizations, museums, Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, to nominate 3 artists each. And so then we end up with a pool of about 150 artists, and we ask them to apply. So it's by nomination only. And then it's actually up to the curators that we choose from around the country outside of the Bay Area to pick. So we spend a couple days reviewing 12 images each of the artists without their names or any information, and then they narrow it down. And they do it in all different ways.
It's got to be a tough job for the people who make those final decisions. Amy and Josephine, thank you so much for joining us and telling a little bit about this fellowship and the art. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And to find out more about the Eureka Fellowship Program, you can log on to fleischhackerfoundation.org. That's fleischhackerfoundation.org. Up next, we have an important message from a food bank working to provide nutritious food to our Bay Area community. We'll be right back.